Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the SaVeg podcast.
Hello, guys. Welcome to our new studio.
We are in our SaVeg podcast studio, aka my apartment.
Oh, Daniel, you're not supposed to out it.
Oh, yeah, true. I mean,
It's our new office, guys. Our new office and new studio.
It's our little oasis, you know?
Yes, it's a little corner of Daniel's apartment, actually. So, yes, we have a world map behind us.
This is true.
Would you like to tell us about this map, Daniel?
Well, actually, there's a story behind it, guys. So this map is a map of the world.
For those of you that are just listening on the audio, he's pointing to a map of the world.
Yes. Basically, I got this like a really long time ago. And part of my plan is like, as I'm traveling and seeing different parts of the world, I'm putting little like pins in the places that I've been. So
very nice. Very nice. We've got some pins, a ton of pins in Australia,
Yep.
a lot of pins in Central America. We've got some pins in Asia and Europe.
You're outing my travel destinations, Rose.
I want to get one of these.
You need to.
I
mean,
will.
Roses will pretty much be all covered. You
No,
know,
I think we're about, are we the same-ish?
No, I don't
Just
think
in
so.
different places.
True.
Anyways.
God damn. So how have you been, Rose? What's been going on?
You're acting like we don't see each other or speak to each other every single day.
This is true.
Well, it's been good, Daniel. Yeah, I mean, there isn't really much to report as my life is not very interesting. But we will talk about the new vaccine. Well, not the new vaccine, but the vaccine.
The AstraZeneca,
which my parents got.
Ooh.
My parents got the first dose of AstraZeneca. And this is a big deal, okay? In the States, everyone is freaking vaccinated.
So many people are vaccinated in the States.
Not fair.
Yeah.
Here, it's like, oh my God, even our parents are just getting vaccinated.
I know. And like I don't get, well, I do get partially because obviously there was a lot of delayed shipments and everything else. And, you know, one story after the other.
about vaccines.
About vaccines.
And AstraZeneca. I thought it was like super dangerous.
Yeah.
But then it turns out, because I was like, you know what? They're talking about blood clots. They're talking about like not allowing this to, you know, like not allowing people to get it.
Yeah. And
then I thought, it must be like a pretty wide, it must be a pretty high number of people that got blood clots.
You would think.
2 people in Canada. 2 people.
Yeah. This is the thing. I feel like throughout the pandemic and throughout, we've seen the media like blow things. Maybe, I mean, obviously for those 2 people that were impacted, I mean, it's huge, right? Like you can die from blood clots.
But you can also die from COVID.
I know, this is so true.
And isn't the percentage higher, like the probability
of dying from the COVID?
I don't know.
From the blood clots.
I don't know. I guess it depends on, the age of the person.
That's part of it. Yeah. And I think, I just wish that the media didn't take like, you know, for example, if it's 2 people in Canada out of however many doses, like we have done quite a lot of doses of AstraZeneca, right? So like, I think the percentage is so small of your chance of getting that.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then they make it seem like this huge deal. Like this is so impactful. Like you shouldn't get it. And I'm just like, it's like fear-mongering almost.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like,
and the problem is like you see an article and you only read, a lot of times you just read the headline.
Yeah.
And then so when the headline's like AstraZeneca causes blood clots, you're just like, oh my God, like you shouldn't take it.
Well, it's like, I think I mentioned this before on the podcast. One of the things that was quite funny, or not funny, but in Canada, they, in Calgary, they deemed in schools, so they had the schools open.
Sure.
And they said basically, if the schools have more than 2 cases, it's going to be designated as an outbreak.
Oh, right.
So basically, and I said to myself, I was like, okay, like if you heard the word just on a regular day, and I was like, oh my God, Rose, there was an outbreak of chicken pox at the store down there. Like you wouldn't think 2 cases. You would be like, wow, okay.
Wait,
like,
is it 2 or more than 2 cases?
2 or more.
Oh, so it can be 2 cases.
It can be 2 cases.
And that can be considered an outbreak.
And then it will be deemed an outbreak.
Really? But was that always the case with anything else?
I don't know. I think it's like loosely defined, but I remember them specifically being like on the news. Right. They're like, if there's 2 or more cases, so there could be a lot of cases. It could legitimately be an outbreak.
Sure.
But in my humble opinion, guys, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but 2
cases, they will. They'll correct you if you're wrong.
Oh, they will. 2 cases an outbreak does not make. I don't know.
What do you guys think? You're right. I do agree that outbreak sounds very dramatic.
It does. Yeah. It sounds like something big has happened. Something's outbroken.
But then what's another word to use?
There's been
a couple cases.
There's been a couple cases. Exactly.
That's true.
Like, because, and again, it's like that's
what would be enough, do you think?
I don't know. Like, what is I would consider an outbreak to be maybe like 10 or more cases.
Wow. Oh, I was going to say like maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
In a school of like 500-600 people.
I don't know, but like, I don't know.
God damn. Well, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know. I just feel like 2 is such a low number. And if you're hearing like an outbreak is at this school, an outbreak's over here, you're going to start freaking out and find out.
What's counted as a mass shooting? How many people? Can you Google it for a second?
I will Google.
I've known this before, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. 4 or more.
4 or more shot.
And or killed in a single event.
Yeah.
So maybe for an outbreak, it should be 4 or more.
I think so. Because again, when you think...
No, but you want a 10, Dan. Yeah, I think 10's like pushing it a little bit. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think if there's at least 5, if there's 5, it could be an outbreak.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's...
A mass shooting is 4 or more, so...
Yeah. And that's another term, though. You hear the term mass shooting and you do think...
Yeah.
A mass.
A mass of people.
A mass of people.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, I feel like, the terminology that's being thrown around like is fear-mongering a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, maybe. Do you think it's done on purpose?
I don't know if it's necessarily done on purpose. I think the media is just like reporting a story, I guess. And I'm sure they're not the ones that necessarily define the terms per se. But
interesting.
I don't know.
It just sounds more,
Yeah.
Ooh.
What you have to remember as well is like, news and also like newspapers and things like that. They want to sell like.
This is the problem. Yeah. Maybe it shouldn't be a fucking business.
Exactly. Because they're businesses, right? So
it shouldn't be though.
I know.
No, but that's weird. So in Canada, we have like the national media, right? So we have like the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That's public. That's a public corporation.
I believe so.
Like a public, like government entity. Is it? So. But other than that, I guess any media company could be a private company.
Exactly. And even the Canadian one, they're reporting on news and stuff, but they're also competing with the other news stations, right? So like the whole idea, especially around news, at least from my perspective, and I could look at it wrong, is you want a headline. You want something that's going to grab. It's the same like with YouTube. If you're posting a video, you want a title that's going to grab people's attention.
True.
So, and if you're competing in that space, you're going to use like buzzwords. You're going to use like things that draw people in. That's like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, what's going on with this story?
Yeah.
Even though it's not like, as crazy as they make it seem,
right?
They just want to draw those people in.
Yeah, now it's becoming even more and more because now we have like digital news, like online news. Now they're competing with so many other platforms that traditionally you would just have, a few companies doing newspapers.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can you're competing with social media, like all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
So now they have to have even bigger titles and more catchy things. And then of course there's ad revenue tied to everything. And oh my God.
It gets crazy. And I feel like also too, over time, as we as a society, we get more like desensitized to some of this stuff as well. Like when you're constantly seeing mass shooting, it starts to lose its meaning. So then they have to come up with new things to pull people in. Do you know what I mean? Even crazier things that are happening. So guys, on that happy note.
On that happy note, what's the most depressing story you got today?
Oh God, there's a few here.
God. I actually don't know what Daniel's gonna pull up today. You did your homework.
Kind of.
Oh.
Kind of, Rose.
You just did it last 10 minutes?
Yep. Should we talk about this? I mean, this story itself is...
Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Okay, so we're talking about drug overdoses. Oh no, this is so sad, Daniel.
Is really sad,
okay, but we're gonna have to talk about it
because it's like,
I think I have a lot to say about this. Go.
Damn. So I'll read you guys the article, the story here. Basically, it's not a huge surprise, but they're saying, and this is U.S. stats, by the way, guys. But I'm sure you could extrapolate the data and to a lot of different countries.
It's definitely not just a U.S. problem.
100%.
Yeah.
So basically, drug overdose and overdose. Oh my God. Drug overdose deaths have surged during the coronavirus pandemic. Now we see like over the last kind of like since 2016, they've stayed relatively kind of like fluctuated
stable to some extent,
around like maybe around 70,000 deaths a year, which still seems like a lot. But it's basically like skyrocketed now, and they're predicting that it's going to get up to about 90,000. And that was in 2020. So even more probably.
So it went from, in like, let's see, the highest before that we can see in this chart is a little above 70,000.
Yeah.
And that was in 2017.
Yeah.
And now in 2020, September 2020, it was 87,000.
Yeah.
What? Oh my God.
So it's gone up substantially. That's a huge increase.
It has. And especially because before it was relatively stable.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see. Like, I wish they did extrapolate a little bit further out.
I do wish I saw it before.
To see like 2014, 15, 16. But
so these are overdose deaths?
Yeah. So new data shows that more Americans died of drug overdose in the year leading to September 2020. So it was the period of October 2019 to September 2020 that these deaths were reported, leading to more deaths in a 12-month period since the opioid epidemic began.
Right.
So they have a really big problem over there with opioids. Opioids?
What counts as an opioid? Why can't I say that word? Opioid. What a strange word.
It
opioid?
is a strange word. I don't know. What is an opioid? I think it's like heroin, meth, those kind of drugs, but...
You just made that up, didn't you?
I did, yeah. What? Oh God, guys, what is? Oh, interesting. Opioids are substances which, when reaching opioid receptors, have effects similar to those of morphine.
Okay.
So they're primarily used for pain relief, including anesthesia.
So I think a lot of drugs can fall under the opioid.
I'm trying to think if there's so heroin, for example, is considered. Okay. So I was right. I don't think meth is because I think
meth is a different type of thing.
It's like a
stimulant. It's a methamphetamine. That's what they call it. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Oh God, we are so unknowledgeable about this.
I know. Well, that's probably in some ways a good thing.
No, I think it's good to know about drugs.
Yeah.
Like rather than not know about it. I think that's the problem. So I think the problem. Should I start my rant?
You should start your rant. But before you do, Rose,
okay, let's actually read this thing first. Yeah. Okay, so is there any other data in this thing that we should read?
So I'm just going to read, by the numbers. Well, first of all, why it matters. So this is the little titles in the article. The stubborn increase of such deaths of despair shows that the opioid epidemic still has room to grow, and that some of the social distancing steps we took to rein in the pandemic may have brought deadly side effects, which, I feel like this is kind of self-intuitive. By the numbers, more than 87,000 Americans died of drug overdoses in the last 12 months leading up to September 2020. This represents a 29% increase in deaths when you compare to the year before. It's crazy. Oh,
this is interesting. While the earliest years of the opioid epidemic were worst among white Americans in rural and suburban areas, Black Americans are now suffering disproportionately. So does that mean that opioid epidemic is more white people?
No. I think it says we're worse among because this is in the earliest years.
Oh, in the earliest, but now they're suffering much more, Black Americans.
Exactly. And if you notice, especially stuff like heroin, I seem to remember when I watched that documentary on drugs, they were talking about
which documentary on drugs?
So many.
Okay, okay.
But they were talking about how Coke, for example, is considered like a white collar drug.
Sure.
That bankers are doing, and the penalties for carrying a gram of Coke, for example, is a lot less.
It's like 10 times less
than carrying a gram of heroin.
Crazy.
Which again,
no. That's not it, Daniel.
Crack cocaine.
Yes, there you go.
Crack cocaine.
Not heroin.
God damn.
Daniel, let's report properly, okay?
I know, but I feel like crack cocaine and heroin are similar.
No, Daniel, they're completely different drugs.
Are they? God damn.
I don't know much about drugs, but I know that.
Okay, god damn, Rose.
Okay, so crack cocaine is basically a different form. It's the same as Coke, but just in a different form. I think
like a tar substance or something.
Yeah, you might smoke it or I don't know what you do with it. Whereas cocaine
Yeah.
What's the term?
You sniff it?
You sniff
Snort
it. Snort it. There you go. Wow, we really sound like, suburban moms.
I know. Oh God.
We're like, what is cocaine?
Has this turned into the Suburban Mom podcast?
What is cocaine and what is heroin? You think crack cocaine is the same as heroin?
God damn, I know. God, we got to hurry up this podcast because I got to pick up the boys from soccer.
Oh my God, honestly.
Oh, anyway.
Okay, so Daniel thought crack cocaine is the same. Watch, it's like the same thing. No, it's not. Okay.
Okay.
Heroin, you inject it with a needle, I think.
I think so.
Anyways, it's definitely a
guys,
very different drug. Hey, don't put me in that category. I know a little more than you do. Anyways, so now I lost my train of thought. Okay, so now it's affecting Black people more as the war on drugs does.
Yeah.
Okay, so a few things to say. First of all, obviously, the pandemic has done a lot of things. I'm sure like drinking has also become a bigger problem.
Hugely.
Has it? Do we know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like 99.9% sure that it has. Like it's gotten worse.
But then a lot of people didn't drink as much.
You're thinking of like
us.
Yeah.
Right.
We're like
but people that have
drinkers.
problems.
Exactly. We're like social drinkers where we're like, the reason we drink is because we're like doing something with somebody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like we don't typically like finish 2.5 bottles of wine at home by yourself.
Right. So if you're an alcoholic, it would be obviously, this would have been a very difficult time.
Yeah. And stressful, right? Like think about all the people that are losing their jobs and all this other stuff. So all those added pressures are going to cause one to.
But then overall, what are the numbers like? That's what I'm wondering.
For drinking?
Yes.
Probably similar to this, I would imagine.
Interesting. Anyways, well, I think, did I talk about this in the podcast?
I can't remember.
Where there's this man, his name is Dr. Carl Hart. I think I talked about it. He wrote a book about drugs and it's called Drug Use for Adults. I really want to read it.
Yeah.
Not because I want to use a bunch of drugs, but he's very, very informative about, because I've seen a couple interviews with him and he basically studies this stuff, right? So he knows a lot about different types of drugs. He's not like us where we're like, what the hell is cocaine?
What is this? What's heroin?
And he's like very much a proponent of legalizing drugs and
decriminalizing them,
not
right?
just decriminalizing. He says that there's decriminalizing and then there's legalizing.
Yeah.
Whereas decriminalizing is just, I think it's a step lower than legalizing.
Okay.
So legalizing would be like what we have, like you can just buy it at the store. Like you can go and buy weed at the store. But I think decriminalizing is you're still like, there's still no market for it, you know, like a proper market for it, but you can't, like they won't throw you in jail for like using it. You know what I mean? I think that's the difference. I could be wrong. Again, oh my God, we don't know anything. But anyways, he's very much like for like full on legalization of pretty much all drugs, like even heroin and like maybe even meth. I haven't heard his stance on meth, but because his theory and what he says is that first of all, like a lot of times the reason why drugs are so, you know, dangerous, like illegal drugs. I mean, all drugs are like alcohol is fucking dangerous. We just don't talk about it like it's a drug because it's legalized and it's glamorized and it's something that's normal. But all drugs have a certain level of danger in them. But if you legalize it and you regulate it and you regulate how much people can get and also you educate people on it, then the number of, you know, deaths and the number of overdoses and the number of people getting such big problems is going to decrease.
See, and the thing is, another point to that actually, which I just thought of, is I think if you decriminalize these substances, right, and you not decriminalize, legalize, and you bring in that extra level of scrutiny, regulation, all this kind of stuff, I think another big issue in the drug market is that a lot of them are, you know, people are making these substances themselves, right?
That's exactly it.
If it's
they're laced.
Exactly. They're laced with stuff. You don't know what's in half of them. And that can cause a lot of issues as well.
Exactly.
So,
like we don't know how many overdoses was caused because of, I don't know, it was laced with something. Exactly.
Yeah.
How do we know that this was like pure drugs? Like most of the time when you get it at the market, in the black market, it's most likely going to be laced with something.
Exactly. And also by having it like illegal as well, even just the act of going to purchase it is going to be kind of shady. Do you know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
You're dealing with people that are drug dealers and all of this other stuff. And so you're already putting yourself more in harm's way. Whereas if it was regulated and legal, then you could go to, like you said, like a store, just buy it.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things. Like I feel like, because prostitution was another one where they talked about legalization.
Oh, for sure.
And I think by legalizing it, we've seen in some countries like Amsterdam and stuff that actually the safety and conditions for the girls that are working in girls and guys that are working in the industry, it's a lot safer. There's less like deaths, there's less, you know, abuse that goes on, things like that. So I think there's something to be said about it. You know,
for sure.
Because as soon as you make something illegal, like it already,
but people still want it.
Yeah. But
you're going to have a market for it.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the thing. Like, no matter what. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Exactly.
If it's illegal, but people want it, you're going to have a market for it. And the people that are going to do this illegally know it's illegal. So they, you know,
are going to be a special type of person.
Exactly. Because like for me, I'm less likely to do something if it's illegal. So, but the people that not all people, guys. I'm not.
Of course.
I'm generalizing, but your chances of encountering, like, let's say you're a prostitute out on the streets, your chances of encountering a violent person is going to be higher in that kind of aspect than,
because it's not regulated as well, right? So
Exactly.
for prostitution, that's a good example. Is that police are not watching you. Police are not, they're watching if you're doing the prostitution, but they don't care about your safety, because there's no regulations on like how to make this a safe thing, because it's supposed to be illegal and not doing it. You're not supposed to be doing it. So that puts the people that are working in that industry very, very much in danger.
Yeah.
And
and the police are definitely not their friend, because
Exactly.
I watched this and I don't know how much truth there is to this, guys, but they were saying, can't even remember what show this was, or documentary or something, whereby they quite often will have undercover cops go to try to pick up girls. Right?
Oh, my God.
And then they'll like arrest the girls that are soliciting or prostitution. And then one of the people in this documentary, whatever I was watching, was like, you know what? Like, we get it, it's illegal and stuff, but you also don't tell me that there's no women police officers or on the police force that could pose as a prostitute. And what about the Johns that are picking them up?
Exactly.
So like, you can't just arrest people that are, because they wouldn't be out there soliciting if there weren't people, like you said, that want the product, that are going there to get it. So why are you saying that on one side you can't solicit, that's illegal, but then on the other side you're letting like the Johns get away with it? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot less sting operations that go into trying to arrest Johns that are picking the women up, because again, there's that whole like double standard and kind of like the way that people look down on like people that are in that, that are in that industry, and they're the ones that are more likely to get arrested.
I know, I feel so bad for them,
which is so shitty. Like,
and they're like very like, anytime you hear about like serial killers, they always fucking kill prostitutes, dude.
I know,
because nobody's looking for the prostitutes, and that's why it's
so
sad.
Yeah.
So fucking legalize that shit. Legalize fucking drugs. Seriously.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, that's why like serial killers they would go for those individuals because it's unregulated. They're vulnerable people for the most part, and it's really easy to like, because it's illegal. It's easy to
exactly,
to
because they're not supposed to be out there.
Exactly.
And the thing with drugs also, there's so many issues with the fact that drugs are illegal. And one of the big issues is the fact that like they're putting so many people in prison, first of all, for like having drugs, just like having a little bit of marijuana, having a little bit of cocaine, and that's breaking up family. That's causing more harm than good. Like, somebody's using some drugs and you're going to put them in prison, and then what? And then they're going to get out and do what?
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to be supported, and it's not good. And second of all, the amount of fucking shit that these drug cartels have done, they have ruined lives, dude.
Huge.
And then, if drugs were legal, none of that would exist.
Yeah.
You know, those gangs would have no there'd be nothing.
It would be corporations.
Exactly.
So
fucking legalize it.
Oh, God.
But anyway, so that's the thing. It's like, you know, things like this, especially because they're stigmatized, because you're not supposed to be doing drugs.
Yeah.
So people are less likely to get help if they're like maybe addicted to drugs. There's so much stigma for people that use drugs.
Exactly.
And vulnerable people use drugs, and then they end up, you know, getting something that's laced with fentanyl or something.
Exactly.
And then they'll die, and it's just a bad situation.
And I think because of all the stigma and everything around it, a lot of these people that maybe there's that shame of getting help as well. Like they're
100%.
like, because then they have to admit that they're using those substances.
Exactly.
And they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to go get help because, you know, there's going to be all these people that are going to find out, and it's going to impact me in negative ways. So I don't know.
Maybe one day we'll legalize all drugs.
Oh, God damn. Not in our lifetime, I don't think.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
That's true. I mean, we just legalized marijuana.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I think it was in school. I could have sworn it was in school, like in university. I'm trying to remember what class, but they were talking about propaganda, everything else. And they looked at, in the US specifically, there was like this massive anti-weed or anti-drug campaign.
This was in school.
I think it was like I want to say it was like in the 50s or 60s, and it was like they had this massive war on drugs, and they were like talking about like marijuana and everything. They're like, this is the gateway drug, this is gonna, you know, and it was like legit like propaganda that got pushed out. So I feel like a lot of the narrative that we have around drugs and drug use is pushed out from the media, like from the government and everything else as well. So and
from alcohol companies probably as well.
God damn,
because it's a competitive.
Well, and alcohol used to be illegal.
Exactly, for a bit. It didn't work.
Yeah.
That's why there's like what do they call them? The hidden bars. What are they called? The speakeasies.
Oh yes, that's right.
I think that's what
that stemmed from
the prohibition era. where people had to hide and drink in the bars.
Exactly.
And I don't know what happened to end the prohibition. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Somebody told, I was listening to a podcast where they mentioned it, but I can't remember. It wasn't something out of goodwill. It was like some kind of political move.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's the thing. It used to be illegal. And alcohol, guys, is like, and as users of alcohol, I will admit that alcohol is fucking bad for you.
It is
like,
not a good thing.
How many people in a year die of alcohol poisoning or alcohol use?
Related
Probably
things.
a fucking lot,
Yeah.
you know?
A shitload.
A
lot.
It's a big problem.
Huge problem.
Anyways, okay, so this is very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
God damn. And like, you know, part of the study as well, they're talking about all these like deaths with this drug stuff, and they're talking about like a lot of places now have these syringe programs, like syringe like safe programs, and a lot of them, a quarter of those have had to close down because of COVID restrictions. So that could also impact why people are dying. They're not using, you know, clean needles and all that kind of stuff. And
it's also because a lot of people were using drugs alone during the pandemic as well. It says that because when you're alone, you're much more likely to die because no one's gonna
protect you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like,
oh God
damn, do
we have a happier story?
Let's see what other stories. Well, it's kind of I don't know. Have you heard about this particular story?
No, what is this? Oh, is it the BLM founder?
Yes.
And how she like bought a mansion or something?
Yes.
No. Okay, tell me.
So basically the story goes, the article, so you know like the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
So I guess this was founded back in 2013 by this woman called Patrisse Kohlers.
Okay.
I don't know how you'd say her last
Kohlers?
name.
I don't know.
So and
Patrisse, we'll call her Patrisse.
Patrisse, yeah. So she's like one of the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter movement, and you know, fundraising and all that kind of stuff. And I guess it's kind of come up recently that she's just bought. I think she just bought another like quite large house, like a 1.2
Oh, so she has a house and she bought another house.
No, she has a few houses now. She has about 4 very big houses. Like
okay.
And I think the backlash that came is people were like, well, where is she getting this money? Like, is she using Black Lives Matter funds to purchase these houses? And there was like a huge like propaganda smear basically where they were like, she bought these massive houses basically using the funds.
Okay, but we don't know that for sure.
No. And she has come out. So she basically responded to this criticism. She's like, this is, hang on, let's just go here. So she responded to criticism over her property empire, saying it's categorically untrue and incredibly dangerous to suggest that she may have used the organization's funds to buy her homes. So she describes the scrutiny over her $3 million empire of 4 homes as a racist and sexist attack by the right-wing media. The 37-year-old who set up Black Lives Matter back in 2013 broke down in tears as she revealed she has spent the last week with security after her homes were first pictured in the media.
My God.
She also tried to deflect criticism from some on the left who have questioned whether her ownership of 4 homes contradicts her ideology as a trained Marxist, as she said she has invested in the properties to provide for her family and sees her wealth as my family's money as well. Her explanation comes after it emerged that she had accrued these houses, and she said that like from the actual organization, she has only been paid $120,000 since 2013 and has not received any payment since 2019.
What does it mean? So she's only been paid $120,000 total since 2013?
That's what it's sounding like.
How does she make money? That sounds like not that much money at all.
I know. So she must have
some other job. Does she have another job?
She must.
She must.
Yeah, like
because that wouldn't financially make sense.
No, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "I've never taken salary from the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation," and that's important because what the right-wing media is trying to say is that the donations that people have made to Black Lives Matter have gone towards my spending, and that is categorically untrue and incredibly dangerous. She told the presenter it was correct that she had bought her homes. She bought her homes, but it was with income not earned directly from Black Lives Matter.
Interesting.
That's correct. I'm a college professor, first of all.
Okay.
I'm a TV producer. I have 2 book deals, and I also have a YouTube deal.
Okay, so she makes some money.
Exactly. So,
but people are saying she's a hypocritical because she's a Marxist.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. Anytime anyone stands up for something, people will always call hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, first of all, we're all kind of hypocritical in our own way. And anytime somebody stands for something, it's like, you have to be perfectly aligned with that. Otherwise, you're a hypocrite.
Exactly.
And I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree. It's a hard one, but you're right. Everyone is in some way hypocritical. Do I think that there's anything that it's wrong that she says that she's a Marxist, but she happens to be making some really good money right now, so has bought herself a few
And isn't
houses.
Marxism like a political theory beyond just yourself, correct?
Yeah, it's like
what you would envision the world to be.
Yeah,
it's an ideology.
Yeah, it is, and it is aligned really with like socialism and communism on that side of the kind of political spectrum. I don't know. I'm not so torn about this. Like I think, if anything, I think actually it's really cool that she's started this non-for-profit, I guess, the Black Lives Matter, this whole like campaign and everything, and company through that has been successful, but also has impacted a lot of people. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. Like the way that I looked at this article when I first saw it, first of all, I think it's really bad that, okay, yeah, she has these 4 homes. I don't think that's bad, but I think it's bad the way the media jumped on it.
Yes.
And then could make an allegation that you used money that's been donated, because that would be wrong. If she used money that's donated. They should have
probably done a little research
Exactly.
first. And if she says that they didn't, I'm sure it's very easy to look for that information.
Huge. Yeah. So I think that part is really wrong, because it would be like, you know what? Let's say you started a charity, for example, and you have your full-time job already, but you're doing this charity. It happens to kick off, make lots of donations, and they're like, oh, well, Rose has like 3 in the future.
Right.
Let's say you had 3 properties. It's like, yeah, because I have my other job that I've been doing, but I also am doing this, pardon me, to better society. You know what I mean? So actually, I think the fact that she founded this Black Lives Matter is in line with Marxism and kind of the social, like bettering of the social society in general. And because the whole idea of Black Lives Matter is to kind of stop that, what's the word?
Systemic racism?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the word I was looking for, is to try to combat that and, bring people up, so that everyone's kind of in a level playing field and and that is the foundation of Marxism, right? So,
and unfortunately, like when you, again, like we always talk about capitalism and there being so many problems with it, but that doesn't mean that we don't like participate in, unfortunately, capitalistic activities.
Exactly.
We live in homes that we buy TVs and we have all of this stuff. We compete in the capitalist market because we fucking have to.
Exactly.
We have jobs. Like I fucking put out YouTube videos where there's ads on it. That's all part of capitalism. Unfortunately, you gotta fucking survive. And that's what I feel like. She's just like fucking 3 million is not that crazy amount to have in investments.
In property. No.
Yes, because unfortunately, again, especially if you're a Black person in America, you better fucking accrue that fucking wealth because there isn't that much Black wealth in America. Yeah. So that's another thing. It's like there are people literally sitting on billions of dollars and they're gonna come after this one woman. I know, that's fucking just because she's fucking one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. Yeah. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's such a hypocrite. Fuck you.
I know. It's like, you know what? Actually, she's doing some really no worries. She's doing some really great things like with this organization, and now you're going to jump on her because, again, I would be looking at this completely differently if she had used the funds from Black Lives Matter to fund this. Of course, that's a different issue altogether. The fact that she's been very successful and she lives in America. You have to participate in capitalism when you're there. Do you know what I mean?
You do, unless you want to just die.
Exactly. Like, what do people want her to do? Like, just give away all of her money?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing. People are so annoying.
And you know who jumped on this?
Who?
Our favorite person.
I know, Candace
Our favorite
Owens.
person, Candace Owens.
Oh God. Of course she did.
Candace Owens, if you ever catch an episode of our podcast, seriously, like we want you on. We want to interview you and get to the bottom of a lot of different things. Fuck. And so Candace Owens was like, there was like a interview again about this lady. And again, really, really quick to jump on the fact that, she's a Marxist and, all of this other stuff and saying, well,
I wish I knew a little bit more about the definition of Marxism. Do you know much about it?
Not as
I know
much.
that it, like you said, it's much more aligned with like the socialism and maybe even communism or whatever.
Yeah. I think communism kind of is like not founded, but it's a lot of the ideologies around Marxism because it was Karl Marx, right? That that is the founder of Marxism, and that kind of the whole theory around. I think it's like just basically a social collective, like everybody's working together to like a common goal, and nobody's better than anyone else. You know what I mean? It's like a very that's like the philosophy.
Let me find the definition in simple terms.
There you go.
Just so that we're on the same page. What is Marxism? To define Marxism in simple terms, it's a political and economic theory where a society has no classes.
Yeah.
Every person within the society works for a common good, and class struggle is theoretically gone. Sounds simple, right? Not so much.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
So I would argue from that definition, because that's kind of kind of my idea. And then so communism is like taking Marxism idea, that idea of no class in society, and everybody's on the equal kind of playing field. We're all together, and that's kind of where communism came from.
Okay,
that kind of ideology.
Interesting.
But I would agree. I would argue that like actually what this what Patrisse is doing, founding this this Black Lives Matter movement and everything, is in line with Marxism. Regardless if she has her own investment properties and everything else. Like again. We all live in a capitalist society right now. Like, I mean, Canada, US, like we're kind of forced to play the game. And obviously there's things that you can do so that you're not as like aggressive or
like if she became a billionaire, then like, I get it.
Then you'd be
she
a bit more
has a $3 million like property, whatever. That's really not that much.
Nowadays, that's
not that much. Like, it's a lot, but it's not like a crazy amount where you're like, oh my God.
Like there's guys, there's people out there that have more individual people that have more wealth than whole countries. Okay. That's like, these are the issues you're going to be looking at.
And like, again, it's an idealistic thing to want, such a different kind of political and societal system, right? Which obviously we don't live in. So that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about this woman. I know that we're defending her, but like, I just know that these criticisms are coming from people that are just trying to find whatever they can.
Of course.
I just feel like. So I don't know.
And again, I question like, what is the problem? Again, I think we'd be having a different discussion again if she was like a billionaire, and but even then, if I became a billionaire and I was like, through whatever means, but I'm like creating all of these great charities and donating tons of my money, like all that kind of stuff. Like,
are there ethical billionaires though?
That is. It's so funny because I think somebody was it you or somebody that was saying about how I don't believe that there's.
I think that was me.
Yeah. Like that there's people out there.
Maybe I'm a bit extreme.
Yeah, but are there ethical billionaires? Can you become a billionaire without exploiting other people?
That's hard to say.
Because if you think about it,
I don't think so necessarily.
Because
to be a billionaire, don't you have to avoid taxes just a little bit?
Well,
I don't know.
Not always, right? But like, well, and
what about Warren Buffett? He's pretty ethical, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. But again, I just feel like, okay, because a lot of people, the reason that they become billionaires generally is they own a business or something, right?
Sure.
Like they founded Microsoft or whatever else. And
they invest.
Yeah, they do.
Right.
But a lot of their wealth, like the guy that owns Amazon and stuff, a lot of the wealth is primarily from the company, right? That that's where they get wealth and then they invest, right? So I guess my argument there, and look, like Amazon's a perfect example. So Jeff Bezos, whatever, he's like the richest man in the world now. Yeah. Super, super wealthy. Would he have been able to amass $1 billion if he was distributing profits among the company? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like Bill Gates, again, great. I think he does a lot of great things. He has a great foundation and everything else. But would he have become a billionaire if profits were distributed equally within Microsoft? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's no way that one person, and guys, I could be wrong on this. This is my theory, but it's a good question, a good like philosophical thing. I don't think there's a way to become a billionaire without some form of exploitation. Because even if we had our own company and it started becoming super, super successful, right? If we had like a staff that worked for us and we're not kind of sharing a little bit, and if we're keeping it all for ourselves and paying them like a low salary or even a higher salary, we're still kind of, you're earning that money off the back of other, you know what I mean? Like,
but is that exploitation or are you just giving them jobs?
No, you are giving them jobs, but I guess it's not. It's not
exploitation under the system that we have.
No,
you'd have to again overturn the system to think that's exploitation.
Because again, it comes down to it. Like part of it is, should these people that own companies and become CEOs and stuff,
right?
Should they be allowed to be earning so much more than everyone else?
And it's not just earning that's the problem, or it's not just the pay system.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so many other layers, like supply chain. Where are you getting your shit? You know, where's Microsoft sourcing their fucking, computer chips or whatever the fuck? Where's Amazon finding the supplies? It's so complicated. So I don't even want to say like, oh, billionaires are just all unethical.
Yeah.
It's just the whole system and it breeds, unfortunately, unethical behaviors,
Exactly.
which breed really rich people, which breed extra greediness. And yeah.
And I just think, when I look around and everybody, like I put this out to everyone that's listening to the podcast as well, walk around your hometown or home city or wherever you're listening. And I feel like we as a society have done something wrong when you can look and see people that are homeless on the streets.
Yeah.
And then a couple blocks later, you have houses that are too big for the people that are living there. Do you know what I mean?
For
like,
sure.
There's an issue. Like, it's everywhere, right? So I think that there's
How
something.
big was her home? I kind of want to know.
They're not that big. Like, it looks like.
Was it huge? That's the home?
So no, she owns a few.
Okay.
So I think this is
okay.
another.
That's a $1.4 million home.
Yeah, and I think
and then that one is 3. Oh, okay. That one. So together, it's around 3 million.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not crazy homes.
Yeah.
Again, I do find issue with, and again, I'm not saying she's necessarily like not a hypocrite or whatever.
Yeah.
Like again, I do feel like everyone has a little bit of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
But like it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
You can be completely against the system, but also like you gotta survive.
This is the hard part, guys.
Don't hate the player.
Hate the game. Hate the game. Hate the fact that again.
And who's going to change it? If we're all playing the game, someone's got to step up and actually be the hypocrite and be like, we need to change something, even though I'm also participating in it.
Exactly.
Like, I remember there was this one story. It was like a long time ago. It may have been David Suzuki. He's like the environmentalist guy, right? Is he still alive? I think so.
I think he's like,
So he's like a Canadian treasure. He was like a big environmentalist. I'm sure he still is an environmentalist.
Yeah.
And I think there was a story where somebody took a picture of him holding like a to-go cup. Like it was like, one of those like coffee to-go cups.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's like, oh my God, like environmentalist holding a coffee cup. And it's like, oh my God, like shut the fuck up, guys.
I know.
Like, come on. Like it doesn't undo what he's saying. It doesn't make what he's saying not true.
Exactly.
Just because he maybe that is hypocritical, whatever it is. Maybe he was just, busy and didn't have his
to-go cup.
Yeah, didn't have his own to-go cup, so he just had to get one. Like, unfortunately, sometimes, even though, like, even me, I hate using plastic bags, but once in a while, I'll forget it.
Exactly.
It happens.
I've done that too. We'll quickly run to grab groceries, forget to grab my reusable bag.
And then you feel terrible and you still have to grab a plastic bag.
Like the other day I went and I had a plastic bag for my shopping and I tried to put everything into this one plastic bag because I didn't want to get more plastic bags. And the plastic bag tore. So then I had to go get more plastic bags. I was like, oh my God, this is just so annoying. But yeah. Yeah.
But this is what happens though when you stand up for something. Everyone wants to call you a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Even though like somebody could be doing a million times worse things than you are. But as soon as you have some sort of ethical stance on something, immediately people just jump on this. Like, especially if you're like vegan, for example, people just always just look for every little thing that they can find that makes you a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm a hypocrite. But also, like, what I'm saying isn't wrong.
Yeah.
I might be a hypocrite, but I'm not saying anything wrong.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy because I feel like people are really fast. In general, people are really fast to point out other people's things that they're doing, right? Like, that person's being a hypocrite, that person. But then it's like so not as fast, obviously, to turn the dial on themselves when a lot of people are just as fucking hypocritical.
Yep.
God damn.
All right. That's the Black Lives Matter thing. Okay. What else we got, Daniels?
Well, then we got a lovely... Still recording?
Yeah.
Then we got an update.
Oh, God. YouTube update.
Yeah. Did you hear about this? I
haven't fully heard this. No.
Okay, so
I think I saw it and then I got bored of this story. So I was like, ugh.
It's still...
Is it bad? Okay, tell me.
Well, it's basically that Durte Dom.
Dirty Dom.
Dirty Dom.
Dirty Dom, the R word.
Yes. So, guys, we talked about this in another podcast episode.
Where he did something very inappropriate to a young woman who was intoxicated.
Yeah. So, this story, it's just bad because... So, basically, he'd been receiving, obviously, a lot of backlash. Didn't respond, was like just posting normal videos on TikTok and whatever else.
Shit.
So now he's responded, right? So I'm just going to go through this a little bit. Okay. So former Vlog Squad member, I can't say his last name, Dom.
Dirty Dom.
We'll just call him Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom. He's finally responded to allegations that he did something bad in 2019 to a girl who was too drunk to consent to activities. So he responded to allegations and claimed that in his eyes, everything was completely consensual. So I'll just read you what he posted. So Durte Dom did not give a comment to Insider. And in the month following the report, because the report came out on the Insider, I believe, he went dormant on social media. Last week, he returned to TikTok, posting content as usual, despite pressure to comment on what had happened in the allegations.
Oh, God.
So over the weekend, he issued a response in his Instagram story. His account is currently set to private, so only people who follow him could see this post. But I'll read it out to you, and I want to get your thoughts, Rose.
Oh, shit.
I want to sincerely apologize directly to the women involved in this incident, he wrote. I definitely empathize with the pain that everyone has suffered in this matter. With that being said, as far as I'm concerned, everything that occurred during that night in question was completely consensual. He continued, I believe the statements that have come out against me are entirely misleading and shed an incorrect light on my involvement. My character is being unfairly attacked, and the statements that exist in the public eye are unfairly defaming, thank you, and assaulting my character and reputation. It's time for us all to demonstrate more respect for one another in every facet of life, he added. God damn.
So he's denying anything.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't there like evidence that they were drunk as fuck?
Yeah. There's like a lot of evidence.
Right. Like there was evidence that she was very, very intoxicated. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he didn't if he missed a class in university, but someone being completely intoxicated is not good. It's not legal to be taking advantage of them.
Exactly. Because I mean, if someone is that drunk, there's no way that you can have.
And this bitch, okay, I'm sorry. This man.
Yeah.
He responded to the girl, the accuser.
Yeah.
Who texted him very much in detail how she was very, very drunk and she doesn't remember what happened and that she feels very uncomfortable. And his response was, okay, I'll delete the video.
Yeah, because she basically, guys, if you didn't follow we talked about this like a couple of weeks ago on one of the podcast episodes. And what had happened was after this said incident, the Vlog Squad had posted this video up on their YouTube channel with this particular girl. And obviously she was like taken aback by the video. She like right away reached out to this Durte Dom character. What a perfect name for this guy, right? Like Durte Dom. Anyway, oh God. But anyway, so she actually did reach out to him and wrote him like it wasn't even just like, hey, please take the video down. It was like a huge description. This was way back when this happened. Because I think it was like, I can't remember when
a few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago. And she, talked about how she felt uncomfortable, how she was intoxicated, that the video needed to be taken down, blah, 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 blah. And his response, again, like Rose said, was just like, fine, I'll take it down.
Yeah, which means he wasn't denying anything at that time. Like, if that was me, I'm sorry. If I was in his shoes and I thought everything was consensual, I would have definitely said something like,
hugely.
Yeah, I would have been like, listen, I'll take the video down, but I think there's been a misunderstanding. But he didn't say any of that.
Of course, because it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Because when at the time when this happened, like you would have been like, first of all, if you did think, for example, if I was in that situation and I thought something was consensual, and then that person reached out to me later and was like, oh my God, but I would feel so bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, right? So you would be like apologetic, or you would be like, oh my God, like, again, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I thought this was consensual. Like, I'm so sorry if it wasn't, you would be so apologetic, not just like, fine, I'll take the video down. Like that to me.
I don't believe him at all.
No, I think he's a liar. He's a liar, first of all. And secondly, like, and I'm pretty sure there was like screenshots of these conversations with this girl.
There's like so much evidence.
Yeah. What do they call them? Read receipts or something?
There's receipts.
I'm going to get the receipts out. I got receipts from me and Rose's conversations.
So like, is he going to get like, oh shit, I should be nicer to use. Is he going to get like criminally charged for this?
I think that there's an ongoing investigation.
The thing is, the difficult part about these types of cases is that like it is difficult to prove. I think that's, even though there's circumstantial evidence, sometimes like that's the kind of really tough part about these types of incidents. Like, it's so hard to prove it. Even if it did happen in a court of law, it's like you have to prove it, right?
Because technically you're innocent until proven guilty, right? It's not guilty until proven innocent.
Exactly. So which makes sense, but then that makes it really tough for these situations.
And I think one of the hard things too with these kind of situations, there's that element of it. It's so hard. And a lot of the time it will come down to somebody's word against somebody else's.
Exactly.
And that's when it's, And I can see, obviously, as a judge or whoever else, that's going to be a really tough decision to make, because like as soon as you like get into it, even if we got into an argument or something happened and we had to go to courts, it would be our word against each other if we don't have specific proof, right? And I just think, it's just a tough one. And I feel
don't
like
they have video proof of this shit?
Well,
like,
they
to
have
some degree.
They have the video that's been taken down,
right?
But again, they could argue that it was being acted, or you know what I mean. There's so many different like ways, because obviously their defense lawyer would be like coming up with all kinds of ways to spin this, right? Like, and I think if watching some of these murder trial cases and these types of cases, things can get spun really easily. Yeah. Like look at the what was it? Stephen Avery case, for example. Oh God. You know, that poor man making a murderer. He's still in prison.
Do you think he's innocent? A lot of people don't.
I know.
I think he's innocent.
I think he is as well.
There's no way that man is smart enough. I'm sorry, but there's no way that man is smart enough to pull this off. But I think a lot of, I don't know. What do you guys think of that case? Yeah. Let us know down below. I know some of our friends think he's not innocent.
Really?
I think Christelle?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Some people definitely don't think that he's innocent.
Yeah.
And some people think that he is innocent. I'm definitely in the camp of he's innocent. But again, we don't know the full details.
Exactly. Yeah.
But based on like the documentary, obviously it was, a biased documentary.
It was skewed in some way. But
But it just doesn't make sense.
I know. I do feel like, okay, and I get it. Like, the hard thing is, especially with like, and this is not just that documentary, but like lots of documentaries, like if you take something out of context, it can mean something else, right?
Sure.
So we don't know the full contextual argument, but then at the same time, certain things, I feel like even if you strip them down and try to take them out of context, they're still gonna like,
right.
They're still like, for example, sometimes people will be like, oh, they did edits on the show to make me seem like I was the villain. You know what I mean?
Right. But even with the edits, you still, like the things that you say, you're like, no, you already said something.
Exactly. Yeah. And you still said that. So yeah, maybe you did say like only a few times and then they edited it to make it seem like you said it more.
Right.
But you still said it in the first place.
Right.
If you hadn't have said that,
right,
they wouldn't have been able to edit you as the villain.
Right. Like if somebody says the N-word and they're like, oh, it was taken out of context. It's like, what context?
Exactly. And you still said that word. Yeah. So I feel like you do have to be careful, obviously, and think about these things. But I do feel like if something is like that, taken out of context, but it still happened. Do you know what I mean? Like that element of it still happened. So with that case, there was just so many things where it was just like a bit suspicious, and there was proof of it. It was like, oh, like for example, the person that was testing the blood samples or whatever, she didn't follow proper protocol.
Right.
And like, there was all that she was.
I don't remember that series now. It was so long ago.
It was. I really, really. Like,
and I was so mad when I watched it.
Oh God, it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, because he was already held in prison for so long for another crime that he didn't commit. And
this is okay, guys. Like if I learned anything from any of these crime shows, is fucking do not speak until you get a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay? Keep your mouth shut. That's what happens with all these people.
Yes.
There are never like all of the like I saw this like show on Netflix. I think you saw it as well. It's called like
Confession Tapes or
Confession
something?
Tapes.
Yes.
Oh
my God.
That show made me so mad because that show is basically all about like wrongful confessions.
Yeah, it's like basically people that were coerced into a confession.
Yes. So they get interrogated, and then finally they finally crack.
Yeah.
And they confess to something that they maybe did not do. And all the time, 100% of those cases, they did not have a lawyer present.
Yeah.
Because they just keep talking, and then the police officers can interrogate for as long as they want.
And what they'll do too is there's like techniques, which they talked about in the show, where they'll like the police officer will like drop a confidential piece of information,
right?
And then like for example, for like obviously if you're not the murderer, you might not know where the person was stabbed, for example, right? But then they'll like somehow do it in such a way where they haven't directly revealed that, but they've got that person to think about that,
right?
So that when they do say the confession, like there's so many different techniques, but when they do say the confession, they might bring up those points. Then they're like, only the murderer would know that.
It's so messed up.
Like it's actually crazy. I didn't watch that many of them, but I watched a few of those confession tapes, and I was just like,
I got so mad. I know.
And they hold so much bearing in court,
That's the problem.
Like, and I'm like, I don't feel like because I feel like how they say, for example, if you sign a contract, you have to be of sound mind, right? I feel like if you put anybody, even myself included, and you and whatever, if you put us into an interrogation room with like no food, no like drinks really, for like 8 or 9 hours with somebody constantly asking you these questions, like you're gonna crack. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna say something,
especially if they're not letting you go.
Exactly.
And oh God, that Stephen Avery case was so sad, especially his like cousin, his nephew.
Yeah.
Oh my, because his nephew was already like, he was challenged, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What's the term? Like he was developmentally challenged.
Yeah, I think so. Something like this. Yeah.
And he had a low IQ, they said. So he was already having issues, right?
Yeah.
So they put him in the interrogation room, and they kept telling him like, oh, just tell us and, you know, you can go home. They said that he had like the development, like mental development of a much younger child.
Yeah.
So of course, someone like that, like, first of all, that should not even be legal to even do that to anybody, let alone somebody that has, you know, development issues.
Exactly.
But like, of course he's going to be like, because that kid, he thought he was going to go home. Like he actually did. And it's so sad. Isn't he still in prison?
I think he is. Yeah. No, I think maybe he's out now. I'm not sure.
But like, and then what? You're in prison for fucking like 10 years?
So long. That's your life gone, you know?
Oh God, that's so sad.
It is really sad.
So anyways, guys, if you guys are ever arrested, even if you're innocent, get a fucking lawyer.
Yes.
I'm telling you, get a fucking lawyer.
This is so important. Like, no matter what. Like, and it's so funny because some people like think like they don't want to do that because they don't want to seem guilty.
Exactly. That's what I would think too.
Exactly. Initially, like before seeing all this shit, I was like, no, I'm not gonna get a lawyer. I'll just like let them know because like I'm guilty. I'm innocent, and you know.
And also, it costs money.
Exactly. Well, you can get pro bono ones where they.
But apparently they're not as good.
Yeah. And you like, you have this like.
What
the hell?
Is the garage band still going?
Oh, God damn, that'd be a good question, Roses.
Yeah.
But now my thoughts on that have completely changed. If I ever get arrested, which hopefully never happens.
Not even arrested, but like taken into questioning.
Yeah, taken into questioning. I will not say anything unless I have a lawyer present.
Oh God.
Just in case, you know what I mean?
Or maybe the thing is you can say a few things, and then as soon as you think like, oh, they're questioning me a little too hard, then you say, I would like to plead the fifth.
Yes.
Is that the same thing in Canada?
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I kind of love that though. I would like to plead the fifth.
Yeah.
I would like to say it.
It's so funny. Like I was watching another show with it was in the UK, and they were arresting people, and then they would like question them and stuff. And it was so funny because like the police officer would question these like drug dealers and all this other stuff, and they would just be like, no comment, no comment. No, and they had to go through their list of questions, right? So even though they know that he's going to say no comment to everything, they still have to keep. You could see them they were like, did you do this? No comment. Were you here at this time? No comment. And I was just like, how could you keep doing that? I would have just been like, God. Are you just going to say no comment to everything? Yeah. Fine, interview over. Okay. Perfect. Let's all get some time back in our day. You know, like, oh God. So yeah, I think you're right. I think initially, like, if I was just randomly like pulled into questioning, you're right. I'd probably be like, okay, let's like, what are the questions? Like, let's go through this. And then the second they start to get a little bit too pushy or something,
or maybe you shouldn't even do that because then they can use anything against you in court. You know? Exactly.
They'll be like, well, you said this. We have it on recordation. We recorded this clip of you answering this question in some kind of way.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Like, it's kind of messed up. The whole thing is messed up. Because they read that thing like you have the right to remain silent. Like they read it like so robotically as well. Yeah. So it's like you're not even listening half the time. You're just like, okay, whatever. So if you don't know anything about this stuff, you won't even really realize like, okay, so I have the right to remain silent. Yeah. So then why don't you just grant me that right? Just let me be fucking silent. Exactly. Stop asking me goddamn fucking questions without giving me a fucking lawyer.
Sometimes I wish Rose would invoke that right more often, you know? Rose, you have the right to remain silent. You can choose to do that if you want.
Can I? Yeah. Well, I'll choose not to.
Oh, goddamn. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, you better fucking get a lawyer too. Oh, goddamn, Daniel. You
definitely
running that mouth.
I know. I would just be like talking so much, and then I'd be like, probably say something that would, somehow come back to haunt me. So yeah, sad. Lessons to be learned, guys. Get yourself a lawyer. Lawyer up. Is that what they call it these days? The kids are saying
lawyer
these
up.
Days? Lawyer up. God
is there another story?
I don't know if there is, Roses.
Is that it? God damn, we're going through so many stories.
Oh, there's the
James Charles. What's the Oh, yeah, I've heard about his update. He was dropped by Morphe. Yeah. Which was like his big brand deal.
The makeup deal or whatever.
Did he have a makeup like product with them maybe?
I think so, or something. Like he was like sponsored by them or whatever.
I think he had a product that they sold.
And like Morphe's a big company, isn't it?
Yeah, they're like all over like YouTube and stuff. I mean, I don't know anything about them, but I think a lot of makeup influencers
all have like Morphe.
Yeah.
Like I know
oh, goddamn, you'd be bored of our conversation.
No, I just be I've had a lot of
food.
Things. Yeah, a lot of food. Rose came over and fed me, so that was nice.
Yes, I had a bunch of food.
But no, yeah, I think like Nikita Dragon, she has like a bunch of like products
Sure.
with Morphe, so it's
James
a big
Charles
deal.
got dropped. What do you think is going to happen? You think his career's over?
I don't know. It's so hard to say because it seems like some people can bounce back from these things. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. What would I'm just trying to like envision if I were James Charles right now.
Yeah.
Like, you fucked up, dude. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And it was, oh my God, this guy, like.
Did you see his apology video?
The one where he's like, I'm desperate. Was it that one?
I don't think I saw that one. No.
He had another apology video.
God damn.
Are you sure? He's like, I think the reason why I messaged these guys is because I'm desperate.
Was that his excuse? That
was
like
part
saying,
of his excuse. He was saying, well, he said, well, I don't know if he had another apology video, but basically this is like a few weeks ago, I think, where he basically was like, well, I thought that these guys were 18.
Yeah.
And then everyone afterwards was like, well, I mean, there's a little bit too many of these guys coming out saying that you thought that they were 18.
Yeah.
Like, anyways, and then he's saying that I still need to take accountability. I think his video is called like Taking Accountability or something.
Okay.
And then he said, he's like, I think the reason why I go on these social media apps to find guys is because I'm desperate. Something like that. And then people were like, that's a pretty smart thing to say because it kind of like, tugs on your heartstrings a little bit. You kind of feel bad for him a little bit.
That's true.
So initially when that video first came out, a lot of, well, and also because probably the first people to see it were his fans.
Yeah.
So initially it was well received.
Yeah. Compared
to, I think now it's probably not, but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
It does make you wonder, though. Like, the thing, it's so hard to say. Like, are a lot of these videos sincere? Are they?
I mean, of course it's PR, right?
I know it's all of it's PR. Like, a lot of it's
course.
PR. Like, so. But you see some of these people, and like, honestly, these apology. There's so many of these apology videos.
Everyone has an apology.
Like, everyone's fucking apologizing. It's like, guys, just don't do it in the first place. Like, seriously, you've got like, well, you got.
But the thing, like, when you're online, I mean, I guess, no, these people are doing some fucking shady ass shit. It's not like an apology for like, oh, I said a bad thing once. It's like, these are real fucking problems.
Exactly. Like, you have the David Dobrik apology. You have the fucking Durte Dom. You have James Charles. You have like, I think there's another allegation from another famous YouTuber called oh God, Jake or something, or he's like a boxer, or I can't remember.
I have no idea.
Paul Logan? No.
Oh, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Right.
There we go. Jake Paul.
Didn't he also get accused of something?
So there was a TikToker that came out.
Oh, okay.
That said she like met him at a party or something, and
and she was assaulted.
Yeah, basically. She said they were making out, so she did consent to like having like they were kissing and stuff. And then they went into a bedroom and they were in the bed, and she was like not wanting to do anything, just kiss. And then apparently he like said to her again, allegedly, I don't know what happened, but he was like telling her, well, if we're not going to do anything, what's the point?
Yeah. Oh God, what a douche.
I know. I could see like
I can. The thing is, I can just see him doing this. Like, it's not even a surprise.
No.
Apparently, she had to sign a fucking NDA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she's like young. She's probably like, oh my God, this is like serious.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's kind of So he's had some allegations. I'm not sure if he's going through litigation at the moment.
He said that he never did it.
Yeah, he did. He's denying it.
But again, if it's impossible to prove, of course he's going to say
exactly. He's not going to be like, oh yeah, hands up, I did it. Like, and that's the difficult thing with these allegations and things like that. It's like you said, it's so hard to prove, and it's so that's what's frustrating. Like,
it is frustrating.
I think that's why a lot of people that become victims and are assaulted, they don't come forward.
Exactly.
Because they're like, well, I was drunk at a party. Like, no one's going to believe me. And the sad truth of that is it is going to be hard for you to prove it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and you are probably going to get grilled and have lots of questions.
Yeah.
And like, for example, like,
the burden of proof is on you, right?
Exactly. The burden of proof is on that person.
Which sucks. And also you have to relive that experience
over and over again,
which is so traumatic.
Yeah. I watched another like Netflix miniseries like a really long time ago.
Yeah.
Not really long time ago. It came out like maybe a couple years ago, and it's called I think it was called Unbelievable. And it's about this exact thing. This girl experiences an assault in her apartment, and they couldn't find like a lot of evidence and stuff. And then it goes through her experience, right? And she gets questioned over and over again and has to relive everything. And it's just, it's a horrible, horrible thing. And then like years later, and it's based on a true story, then years later, a girl in like a different county, the same, almost like identical attack happened to her.
Oh God.
Because this guy did very specific things.
Of course. Yeah. They always have a pattern, don't they?
They have like something, like a fetish or whatever it is. And because I think he like would target, like he strategically like went to different counties because they had different police departments, right? And
so they wouldn't have all the records.
Exactly. And they wouldn't know for sure. Like they wouldn't link the two. And I can't remember what happened, but I think maybe like one of the police officers from like another county like called and were like, oh, I had a similar thing happen here. And then they started putting the pieces together, and it was like it was crazy. And they
caught him.
Yeah. And the worst part is at the very beginning, guys, well, I don't want to ruin it actually. But the girl in the very first instant, the like male police officer that was like, or investigator that was interrogating her, I remember at one point he was like, you made this up, didn't you? Like this
God.
Yeah. And it was like super intense. And it's just really interesting to see.
I wonder if that's
unfolds.
how some police officers like interrogate, or not interrogate, but like
ask. Yeah.
That's so messed up.
I know. Especially
like I'm not in the camp of like believe everyone. Of course.
Yeah.
There are like, that's the thing. Like there's people that do it and it's a false accusation.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens as often as people say it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I can't imagine it happening like super often.
Yeah.
But it's those people that ruin it for like everybody else.
Exactly. The person who cried wolf or whatever, right? And I do agree. I think like there's definitely like, I'm not saying like blatantly believe everyone, but also I think that there should be more like care given to like victims.
Of course.
Like initially.
At least treat them with some kind of dignity,
and
because
respect.
There is a big chance that did happen.
Exactly. And it takes
crazy.
It takes a lot of courage for those people to like come forward as well. So like for them to come forward and say whatever's happened. And you know what's crazy? It's like not even just, pardon me, in the YouTuber community. I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise me, but like, you hear about all these cases of like really famous, like celebrity talk show people and all of this stuff. And then there was the whole, did you ever watch the Jeffrey Epstein case?
No, I think it's too, I would be too traumatized,
yeah,
I think.
It's brutal.
I never watched it.
So you see all of this stuff. It's like going on all the time. You had the R. Kelly situation, like, oh my God.
It's these people getting drunk on power. That's another thing. So I do think it's not a coincidence that these kind of famous celebrity-like figures, whether it's YouTubers or people in power.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence that they are doing these shady things because they think A, they can get away with it. Yeah. And B, they have all these people flocking to them. So they just think, oh, like I'm the shit. Like I can do whatever I want. So I think it's very connected to fame. And this is why idolizing people and like worshiping people like this is just not good. And even like Bill Cosby.
I know.
That was the biggest shock.
God,
did you watch that show?
I didn't watch the Bill Cosby show, but I like know of Bill Cosby.
Yeah, like he was so well liked and well known. And then like fucking
oh god,
it's like that was the most, I think, shocking thing.
I know,
because it's not like he was just some behind the scenes like like what was Jeffrey Epstein? What did he do? What was his thing? What was his career?
He was in finance. Oh my God, guys! I don't know how I got so like.
Daniel, I didn't realize I was so boring.
No, he is never boring, Rose. No, but Jeffrey Epstein, he worked in, I believe, like finance and stuff, and he was like well connected with like celebrities and everything else because he like managed like money basically.
Okay, so he was a very rich man.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that he ran some kind of child prostitution ring or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's bad.
See, I can't watch that.
It's bad.
It's too traumatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's him. There's Harvey Weinstein. Why do they have such a common name? I got those two mixed up.
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein.
I know,
like the Steens, man.
What is going on?
Anyways.
Yeah, but there's some big names out there, and it's just like, and you actually a lot of like a separate kind of thing. I remember there was like quite a few actresses that came forward as well recently that were saying like, they've had instances throughout the industry, like experiences.
For sure. I mean, these are just the stuff we know about.
Yeah.
We don't know what the fuck is going on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Right?
I think that the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood and stuff, I think it's a very shady.
It's probably so bad.
Like shit goes down.
Like even like look at the whole college admission scandal.
Yeah.
Just like the shit that these people do, and they think they're above the law.
Exactly.
They've got expensive lawyers, all of this stuff.
Well, and this is the thing, and we talked about like that whole college admission scandal case. The more we talked about it, and the more I thought about it, just made me so angry because again, we're talking about people that already have. They're already the haves. They're not the have-nots. Yeah. They're the haves.
They're already well ahead of it. Everybody
and they're
else.
still cheating.
I know.
And they think that because they have money and everything else, they can just do that and they don't care. You know what I mean? So. Oh,
I know.
It makes me so angry.
Oh god damn! I was watching, because I used to love Full House. Did I tell you this? Yes. And today I was just like, or not today, but like a few days ago, I was like doing stuff, and I like to have some random stuff in the background sometimes. Yeah. So I just put on some Full House because it's on Netflix. Didn't I tell you?
Oh yeah.
So I just put it on and then fuck. Aunt Becky, why?
I know.
Why, Aunt Becky? You
Why?
ruined Full House for me.
Yeah.
Now every time she comes on, I'm like, ugh.
But it shows you the morals of those kind of people.
The thing is, like, she probably didn't start off that way. That's the thing. It's these environments that make people like this kind of, you know?
Well, because I guess you're right. Because as part of that college admissions things as well, is a lot of those people maybe didn't initially seek it out. But then when that guy, you know, they found out, oh, is this what other people are doing? Like,
exactly.
And he was like, yep, the couple that lives down the road from you, they're doing this. Everybody else is doing this. You have to give your child the same opportunities as all these other people. And then they're like, well, yeah, I do.
They get sucked into that shit.
And they're like, fuck, well, these people are doing it over here, so I have to do it as well.
Exactly. Oh, that kid got into this university. It's the whole, I'm not saying the individuals aren't to blame at all. Of course they are. Yeah. But it's also the fact that we're obsessed with these fucking universities that are prestigious or whatever. Yeah. That's a big problem. The concept of, like, you know, just thinking that you're better than somebody just because you went to a certain university.
That's a problem.
And then, of course, just being surrounded by all of these haves, people that have all this money and power and, you know, fame. And then just thinking, yeah, well, everyone else is doing it,
so I'm going to do it. Yeah, no, it's just,
God damn. Well, does that bring us to the end of the show?
It brings us to the conclusion today, guys.
What is the conclusion, Daniels?
And the conclusion is lawyer up, guys. That is the
lawyer the fuck up.
Yeah, just be careful.
Just shut your mouth and get a goddamn lawyer.
Something I'm not good at.
It's something
Seriously,
I'm not good
I
at.
talk so much some days. I'm like,
especially when you're nervous, Daniel.
Oh my God, I do.
Oh my God, Daniel.
That's the worst. Sometimes I talk so much I'm not even breathing between sentences.
You need to learn to have awkward silences.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and there's nothing more awkward than a police officer interrogating you and you just saying no comment.
I know, and that's what I need to do next time.
Just say I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Be like, you're not in the United States. Well, I want a lawyer. No comment. No comment to all your questions until I have a lawyer here. So it just sucks because then it's like I feel like I'm making myself seem shady because I'm getting a lawyer, but at the same time I'm doing it because
you should be like, I watch too many shows. I am innocent, but I need a lawyer.
Yeah. Exactly.
It shouldn't make you look. That's the thing. It shouldn't make you look guilty, but like it might.
Yeah,
right?
It definitely.
So
anyways,
that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed our new studio.
Yeah, studio
and
locations.
Daniel's map.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Once again, guys, don't forget to check out our Patreon and join our Patreon family. Only $3, as little as $3 a month.
Yeah.
To get a bonus episode every single month.
Yeah.
And you can, of course, go back into the archives and listen to all our extra bonus episodes that are available in our Patreon for our patrons only.
Yeah.
And you get ad-free episodes. You get the episodes a week earlier than everybody else. And and
don't forget, guys, if you are listening on your favorite podcast player or platform, they all have the option to follow the podcast, so just be sure to do that. Then you can catch the episodes as soon as they come out. You get like a notification. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. You know, show us some love in the comment section. Subscribe if you isn't already.
Feel free to argue with us.
Oh yeah, exactly. Come on, put some heat in there as well. We lack it. We like to get into debates. So and also if you are on Instagram, check out our Instagram page at the SaVeg Podcast. And those are all the plugs for this afternoon.
That's
this evening.
It. Thank you so much, guys, and we will talk to you next week.
See you next week, guys. Bye.